Let's kick things off with a spark that hooks you right away. Almost 2 decades ago, a quiet moment at the Philadelphia Mint gave birth to a quarter that now sends experienced collectors scrambling into storage boxes and online auction houses. The 2005 California State Quarter isn't just metal stamped with a familiar profile of George Washington, it carries a chapter of American coinage history that only a handful of enthusiasts fully appreciate. Today, we're peeling back the layers of that little disc to uncover why it has become a prized prize among those who know exactly what to look for. The journey of the California Quarter began as part of the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program, which rolled out designs celebrating each state's unique heritage between 1999 and 2008. California's turn arrived in early 2005, and the design by sculptor T. James Farrell featured a soaring California condor above the rugged Sierra Nevada mountain range, with an inscription of Eureka nodding to the gold rush spirit. At face value, it was a nod to natural beauty and historic ambition. But beneath that standard issue exterior lay the potential for far more intriguing varieties, some so scarce they've gone for tens of thousands of dollars when they finally hit the auction block. Identifying which examples carry that extra spark takes a keen eye. The baseline features include sharp detail in the condor's feathers, clean edges on the mountain peaks, and a crisp, 2005 mint mark at the coin's rim. But what really stops seasoned collectors in their tracks are the striking anomalies, double dies, where the lettering or images appear slightly offset, or off-center strikes that leave part of the design truncated. Even a subtle die clash, a faint ghost image of the reverse design showing on the obverse, can propel a quarter from a fraction of a dollar to a premium beyond imagination. It's the rarity of these errors and the stories behind them that inflate the value. For instance, a handful of California quarters exhibit pronounced doubling on the de pluribus unum legend, a flaw traced back to a misaligned hub during the die preparation stage. Those examples are estimated in the low triple digits, with fewer than 50 confirmed specimens known to circulate. Then there are the off-center strikes, which vary from mild, less than 5% off-center, to extreme, over 15%. The latter can command prices well above $1,000 in high grades, simply because collectors treasure anything that diverges sharply from the norm. As for headline-grabbing auction records, the current standout sale involved a California quarter with a near-uncanny 17% off-center shift and razor-sharp detail around Washington's profile. Graded MS-65 by a top-tier service, it sold for $12,500 in late 2024, proof that even a state quarter can rival rarer series if the error is pronounced and the strike quality remains high. More routine double-die examples in certified MS-63 condition tend to land in the $300 to $700 range, depending on how visible the doubling is and how well the coin was preserved. Behind these numbers lie tales that seasoned collectors love to swap at meets or on online forums. One well-known story involves a bank teller who spotted an off-center strike while sorting rolls, tucked it away in a personal collection, and only realized its worth years later, after a cousin studying numismatics recognized the misalignment. Another intriguing nugget, a handful of proof-like finishes slipped through quality control, exhibiting mirror-like fields surrounding the condor. Those rare proofs were never officially released but occasionally surface in estate sales, fetching a solid premium for their unexpected cameo. Condition plays its own starring role when it comes to value variations. A standard circulated California quarter from Pocket Change usually rides in at 5 to 10 cents above face, depending on where. At about uncirculated levels, where only the highest points show slight friction, values climb to about $1.50 to $2. Full mint state, MS-60, MS-62, examples are surprisingly affordable, often trading at $5 to $10. But once you step into the MS-65 and beyond territory, prices can skyrocket. MS-65 pieces with full luster and minimal contact marks often trade between $15 and $25, while MS-67 specimens, practically flawless by any standard, can fetch $75 to $150. Collectors who invest in error varieties face an even steeper scale. A double die in MS-67 Plus might start around $800, but exceptional pieces with bold, clear doubling have been known to break the $2,000 barrier. Off-center strikes follow a sliding scale. A 5 to 7% shift might trade for $75 in high grades, while 12 to 15% errors slip into four-figure territory. The rule of thumb? The more dramatic the deviation and the sharper the remaining detail, the more intense the bidding wars become. If you're hunting through rolls or exploring dealer stock, focus on the edge and lettering first. Grab a loupe and inspect United States of America and E pluribus unum for doubling or distortion. Then tilt the coin under varied light angles to catch any proof-like mirror effects in the background. Keep an eye on the centering. Even a slight off-center shift can make an otherwise common quarter stand out dramatically. And when in doubt, submit potential showstoppers to a respected grading service. Certification can make or break your sale price down the line. Even if you never encounter a headline-making error, this quarter's story highlights how a design intended for everyday commerce captured an undercurrent of numismatic excitement. From the official release celebrating California's natural heritage to the accidental flaws that thrill modern collectors, this single issue bridges past and present in ways few pieces of small change ever do. With that adventure behind us, get ready to set your sights on the next chapter of the State Quarters saga. Soon, you'll learn how a seemingly straightforward Hawaii 2008 issue turned into a treasure hunter's obsession, fueled by its own unique quirks and market surprises. Sliding out of the Golden State's mountainous silhouette, our journey now drifts across the Pacific waves to the volcanic isles of Hawaii, where the 2008 State Quarter carries a tale of island heritage that's captured collectors' imaginations ever since it rolled off the press. Right from the moment that piece entered pocket change, it whispered of tropical landscapes and cultural milestones, yet only a handful of experts truly grasp how those whispers turned into auction room roars. Released in June 2008 as the 49th installment in the State Quarters program, the Hawaii Quarter commemorated the Aloha State's rich history and natural beauty. Sculptor Joseph Mena chose to highlight two of Hawaii's most iconic symbols, King Kamehameha I, who united the islands under a single kingdom in 1810, and the 8 major islands themselves, represented by 8 stars arcing around the coin's perimeter. Encircling the regal portrait, the inscription, Hawaii, and the founding date, 1959, remind us that these tropical paradises only became part of the Union in the mid-20th century, a relatively recent chapter in American history that stands in sharp contrast to those colonial-era beginnings on the mainland. At first glance, the king's profile is the most obvious feature. His stern gaze, feathered cape, and traditional lei create a striking focal point against the quarter's matte surface. Yet for seasoned collectors, the key lies in subtleties, like the precise spacing of the stars and the clarity of the legend's serif font. Look for crisp edges on the king's hair ornament and the fine lines of the feathered cloak. These details separate a full-strike example from a rushed minting job. Even the coin's luster can betray its story. Proof-like fields on circulation strikes, a rare occurrence, lend an almost mirror-like finish that sets certain pieces apart. Diving deeper, error hunters have uncovered several noteworthy varieties. A small population of Hawaii quarters exhibits a double die reverse, causing faint shadowing on the stars or the United States of America legend. Meanwhile, an off-center anomaly, albeit less dramatic than some state quarters, can result in 1 or 2 stars clipped at the rim, creating a subtle but collectible misalignment. Die cracks have also been documented. One notable example shows a thin raised line snaking through the king's cloak, the result of a minor fissure in the die before it struck thousands of blanks. When early reports of those flaws emerged, collectors rushed to examine every roll of quarters they acquired. An example with pronounced doubling on the stars recently surfaced in an online forum, prompting a flurry of messages and a quick grade submission. Graded at MS66 by a reputable service, that specimen fetched $1,200 in a late, 2024 online auction. A more modest error, say, a 3% off-center strike clipping only the westernmost star, might trade in the $75 to $150 range, depending on overall eye appeal and surface quality. For specimens without striking mishaps, the Hawaii quarter's value hinges on preservation and eye appeal. Circulated examples typically linger around 50 cents to $1 each, barely more than face but enough to keep dealers scanning spare change. At about uncirculated grades, coins start commanding $2 to $3 apiece. Once you hit mint state territory, values climb steadily. MS-60, MS-62 pieces often trade at $5 to $8, largely because most collectors seek full luster and complete detail. Those in MS-65, where marks are minimal and strike sharpness is high, can fetch $20 to $30, while the rare MS-67 and MS-68 examples, nearly flawless in every respect, occasionally cross the $100 threshold at auction. Beyond standard grading, proof-like finishes on circulation strikes add another dimension. A small number of Hawaii quarters display these near-mirror fields, likely a byproduct of leftover proof dies or unexpected polishing during die preparation. Collectors treasure these cameo-like contrasts, and prices for PF-64 examples start around $50, surging to $150 or more for bold, well-defined proof-like surfaces paired with strong strikes. Several anecdotes illustrate just how passionate collectors can be. One story tells of a visitor to a Hawaiian coin show who exchanged a handful of quarters for an old lei necklace, only to discover later that one of those coins boasted an obverse die crack so prominent it looked like a fine spiderweb. After sending it off for grading, the owner received an MS-64 designation and an appraisal nearly 200 times the original swap's value. In another instance, a small-town coin club organized a metal-detecting outing on an old sugar plantation site. One member unearthed a severely corroded 2008 Hawaii quarter and, after careful cleaning and restoration, found that the cleaned fields revealed proof-like characteristics previously hidden under grime. Condition remains king when there are no dramatic errors. A Hawaii quarter with complete, unbroken rims and full mint luster in MS-63 might go for $10 at a local show, but the moment it earns an MS-66 grade with pristine surfaces, it can leap to $50 or more, driven by collectors racing to complete high-grade state sets. The pricing gap widens further when you factor in die state variations. Early strikes often show crisper details, while later ones might exhibit subtle die wear around the rim or the king's cloak, and savvy collectors prize those first-run specimens. When you're scouting through rolls or dealer trays, examine both sides under strong lighting. Check the clarity of each star and the uniformity of the letter serifs in Hawaii and E pluribus unum. Tilt the coin to watch for mirror-like fields against frosted devices. Those proof-like hints can elevate a common issue to a collectible standout. And if you spot any misalignments or raised lines, resist the urge to pocket dozens without inspection. Some of the most valuable finds originate from single coins slipped into a roll before quality control caught the error. Ultimately, the 2008 Hawaii quarter stands as more than just spare change. It's a testament to how a carefully crafted design, paired with unintentional minting quirks, can ignite collectors' passion. From the regal portrayal of King Kamehameha I to the gleaming stars that punctuate its rim, each element tells part of an island story that resonates in both numismatic circles and personal collections. And when rarity steps onto that canvas, whether through doubling, off-centering, or proof-like flashes, the excitement intensifies, turning a simple pocketful of quarters into a treasure hunt. With that tropical breeze at our backs, we'll soon chart a course to the desert landscapes of Arizona, where the 2008 quarter carries its own mysteries and market surprises. Get ready to explore how a design honoring the Grand Canyon State transformed into a collector's must-have, complete with its own array of errors, stories, and hard-earned auction victories. Shifting from tropical shores to the red rocks and desert skies, the 2008 Arizona quarter carries its own rich tapestry of history and minting surprises, one that's given serious collectors plenty to talk about since it first entered circulation. Unveiled in August 2008 as the 48th release in the State Quarters program, this design by sculptor Donna Weaver honors Arizona's rugged spirit with a striking portrayal of the Grand Canyon's layered cliffs against the silhouette of the state bird, the cactus wren. Below the bird, a flowering saguaro cactus adds an instantly recognizable southwestern touch. At its core, this quarter is a portrait of place and perseverance, yet beneath its standard features lie the rare quirks that collectors prize. Arizona's quarter roots itself in a history that predates statehood by centuries. The Grand Canyon, carved over eons by the Colorado River, has long been a symbol of natural wonder and human exploration. Meanwhile, the cactus wren, named for its unique nesting habits among spiny cacti, signals adaptability in harsh climates. When readers pause to note those 8 detailed cactus blossoms and the tiny feathers etched into the wren's wing, they're glimpsing the mint's effort to capture an ecosystem in miniature. The inscription, Grand Canyon State, arches along the bottom, while the date, 2008, and the mint mark, either Philadelphia's, P or Denver's, D, sit just above the rim. Yet anyone who's spent time hunting through rolls knows to look past the standard issue. Some Arizona quarters show weak strikes along the feathers and cactus spines, while others boast bold, proof-like contrasts that seem impossible for a circulation strike. Error enthusiasts have identified several standout varieties. A small number of quarters exhibit a double die obverse, causing subtle but visible doubling on Liberty and the year. These double dies are scarce, fewer than 30 confirmed examples, and when one surfaced graded MS65 in late 2024, it commanded $2,750 at auction. Given that collectors eagerly complete state sets with premium-grade pieces, a double die in high mint state easily outpaces more common examples. Off-center strikes also play a role in the Arizona quarters market drama. Most off-center errors on this issue fall between 5% and 10% misalignment, with the cactus blossom or part of the bird's tail missing from the strike zone. While mild shifts fetch modest premiums of $50 to $100, extremes above 12% can climb into 4-figure territory, especially if the coin retains full detail elsewhere. One notable specimen, a Denver struck quarter off-center by 14% and graded MS63, crossed the block at $1,400 in November 2024 after heated bidding among specialized error collectors. Another sought-after anomaly is the die crack variety. Early dies used for Arizona quarters occasionally develop tiny fissures near the cactus blossoms or along the rim, leaving raised lines that snake through the design. Some examples show a crack that extends from the upper rim through the bird's tail feathers, a feature that collectors often call a scar of authenticity, proof that the coin snapped off the press when the die was fresh. These die crack pieces generally trade between $25 and $75 in uncirculated grades, depending on the severity and visibility of the crack. For standard circulation and non-error examples, condition rules the roost. Loose Arizona quarters you find in change or at coin rolls typically hold face value or a slim premium, around 50 cents each, unless you strike something special. At about uncirculated, coins might bring $1.50 to $2 at local shows or online listings. Once you reach mint state, values climb predictably. An MS60, MS62 example often trades at $4 to $6, reflecting its crisp rims and modest contact marks. In MS65, where every feather line and cactus spine pops, prices jump to $15 to $20. The rare MS67 or above specimens, nearly flawless, with mirror-like fields contrasting against frosted devices, can command $75 to $125, particularly if they hail from the first weeks of production when dies were at peak sharpness. Beyond grading, proof-like finishes on circulation strikes add another layer of intrigue. A handful of Arizona quarters exhibit semi-reflective backgrounds, giving the cactus and wren a cameo-like appearance. These proof-like examples likely stem from leftover polished dies or an unintentional treatment, and in PF 63 to PF 65 grades they can fetch $40 to $100, driven by collectors eager to own an unexpected variation. Collectors swap plenty of stories around this issue. One anecdote recounts a library patron who donated a handful of rolls after finding them mixed with book sale proceeds. Later, a member of the local numismatic society discovered a bold double die among them and quietly sold it for a mid-4-figure sum. Another tale comes from an emergency room technician who slipped a handful of Arizona quarters into her pocket and later noticed a die crack under magnification. After grading, it earned her enough credit to upgrade her loupe to a bench model, proof that even the smallest detail can change a collector's journey. When scouting for Arizona quarters, start by examining the P or D mint mark position. Any slight misplacement can signal an off-center strike. Then inspect the lettering on both sides for doubling or distortion. A bright LED flashlight tilted across the fields will reveal proof-like flashes if they're present. Finally, run your fingernail gently along the coin's surface to feel for raised die cracks. And when you do spot something unusual, it's always worth submitting that piece for professional grading. Certified provenance can multiply its value, especially in the rarer error categories. As our trip through 3 state quarters draws to a close, you've seen how coins intended for everyday transactions can become prized collectibles when history, artistry, and minting anomalies collide. From the soaring condor of California to Hawaii's majestic monarch and now Arizona's desert icon, each quarter tells a story that resonates far beyond its 25-cent face value. Whether you're hunting for subtle die cracks, bold off-center strikes, or simply building a high-grade state set, these coins prove that excitement still lies in the role of modern change. Keep your loupe handy and your wits sharp, because the next unexpected find could be right around the corner.